Well, hello Internet land. So, this is going to be a video about making butter in this antique butter churn that my Aunt Sharon gave me. She insisted that I make a video as the payment for giving me the churn. So it's this gallon glass jar, which if it breaks, I'm probably SOL, because I don't know where I could ever find something like this again. And then this metal piece, which has a couple of gears here at the top, and this little handle. And it attaches directly to this. I don't think I could remove this if I wanted to. It's got a little spout at the top. This is for pouring off the buttermilk after the butter is churned. So, I work on the weekends at Shampooey Creamery, which is owned by Charlotte Smith. It's in the suburbs of Portland. And we sell raw, organic, pasture-raised milk. It comes in these half-gallon jars, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but this milk has separated out. It's non-homogenized, so it's separated out into its cream, and it's about 2 cups of cream per half-gallon of delicious raw milk. And you can either shake this up, mix it up, drink it whole, straight up like that, which is amazing, or you can skim the cream off and use it for making butter, whipped cream, make your own half and half for your coffee, and then have like a 2% or skim. When people say whole milk, they mean 3% butterfat milk. That's the legal requirement for how much butterfat has to be in milk for it to be whole. But that doesn't count this heavy cream that is separated out on the top. So if you're just drinking this straight up, you're drinking more than 3%, and that's why it's so delicious. When we have extra milk, such as right now, one of our cows has just calved, and we've got, we usually end up having 3 or 4, maybe 5 gallons extra at the end of the week. The store's closed for a day, and normally she uses that milk for her household use and purposes. She makes kefir, but she had plenty, so she let me skim off all of the cream from those 4 or 5 gallons, and I got 2 quarts of cream here. And I'm gonna keep talking and walk away. So I let this milk sit out overnight. That excess milk I let sit out from 6 p.m. one night to around 11 o'clock in the morning the next morning. And that, in raw milk, will culture it. So it'll let the good bacteria that's in there do their thing and really diversify and spread out. And it's when you culture the cream, and make butter out of it, the butter has a higher percentage of fat. And so it makes a richer, more delicious butter. You want to be careful not to go too far, because Americans aren't used to that taste anymore. It can be a little powerful, but I tell you what, it's really interesting. So before I got this piece of equipment, I would just take my cream and I would put it in an empty half-gallon jar. And in an empty half-gallon jar, I could shake it. I put the lid on, shake the bejeebies out of it, and I could fit about a pint, about 2 cups of cream in the bottom of the jar, and it would expand and fill the whole jar by the time it was ready to break. And that was all I could fit, and it took about 20 minutes of hard shaking to get that to actually come together. And in this machine, It's still going to take 20-30 minutes, but it's going to be much easier. And I can do more at a time. So as opposed to doing 1, 2, 3, 4 20-minute sections, I can do it all. So I'm just going to get started. Feel free to fast forward about 25 minutes. Getting some splashing out of this hole, so I'm just going to cover it up a little bit. This is my second time trying to make this video. The first time, I dropped the phone, and when I righted it upside down. Oh yeah. Grease this. Pick up some mineral oil, food safe mineral oil. Give this a good lubing up. How was your day? It's starting to come together. That was a little faster than expected. I can feel it. It's getting harder to churn now. That usually means it's mixed into the like whipped cream stage. Oh yeah. Let's check on it. Woo. So it's like really chunky whipped cream. So this is whipped cream that you've gone too far. But it's not quite butter yet. We're getting there. At this point with the jar, I would have to take a break because the jar would be full and I would need to let it settle just so I could physically continue moving it. I'm going to scrape the fluffy stuff off the top here and resume. That was faster than the last time I did this. And the last time, I didn't culture the cream. I let the cream be sweet. And I wonder if that had an effect on it. Probably. So you can see it looks kind of chunky. And there'll be a point where it starts to separate. And you'll think, oh, I'm done. Keep going. You really want to beat all that fat as hard as you can because you want to get as much of the water out as possible. Be hard. Just gotta do it. Power through. Butters. Oh wow. I'm gonna break it up with my spoon. See if that'll help the motion. Ooh, man, looks good. So this is what we got now. Big old fat globs. In a very milky white liquid. See if I can break it up a little bit. Maybe get a little more motion. Splashing. I think that's it. I think this is all I can get. Okay. So, when you've gone as far as you can go, I'm going to use my handy dandy little spout. But if you're just shaking, get yourself just a fine mesh strainer, preferably metal, and a bowl, and just pour it in. So this liquid, this buttermilk, is not like the buttermilk we get in the store nowadays, cultured buttermilk. This is very thin, and the stuff in the store is like thick, like yogurt almost. And why that is that's not, the stuff you get in the store isn't the liquid from making butter anymore. It's milk that has been pasteurized, and then a culture has been added to it. So the live bacteria have been added to it. And then it's been let to colonize, and then normally pasteurized again to kill those bacteria so it doesn't go too far. So what we've got here is still usable for those purposes, pancakes or biscuits, but it's just going to be thinner, and so it'll be a wetter product. It still tastes good. Just going to get this all out. So the next step in the butter making process is washing this fat, because it's still got that white liquid in it, and that needs to come out, or else this butter will sour much quicker than it should. So I got a few bowls of cold water. You don't want to use ice water yet, unless you're like really hot-handed, but just cold water. And we're just going to squish this around and play with it, silly putty style, and knead it together. And I'm going to try and do that about 3 times, maybe 4, until the water stays clear. This stuff is really fun to play with. So what was perfectly clear water is now very milky white. If you got butter stuck to your bowl, just scrape it out. Add it back in. I really like this bigger bowl. Have more space to work in. So the water's still pretty milky. Not as bad as the first time, but still pretty nice. Oh. And it's so it's a little warm in here. So I think I will add a little bit of ice to this batch. So my water's come to room temperature, which is a little warmer than I'd like it to be. But you don't want the butter to harden yet. So we're still trying to work all that milk out. So this was the third rinse, and it's still a little milky, so I'm going to do one more. I'll pause the video while I'm getting situated. We're back. So I rinsed it twice more at the sink, and it is looking pretty good. So I got a nice bowl of clean water here. And get yourself a chunk of it. Put it in this clean water and just make sure, pull it apart, squish it around in your hands. And just make sure that there's no more white coming out. Looks good. So put it all in this clean bowl. I'm going to dump out the big bowl, because the next stage is to add some salt. You don't have to add salt if you don't want to. I love it because it makes the butter taste better. I'm not going to go crazy with it. It's not going to be super salty. I know what I'm doing. And so I won't, if I'm using this for like cookies or any sort of baking, I'll just keep in mind that it's salted butter and adjust my recipes accordingly. But I don't have any health issues, and so I don't really need to worry about my salt intake that much. If you do, you do. And that's, take care of yourself. Also, another reason I want to salt it is this is raw. This is raw milk. And there's natural bacteria that are still alive in here. And it's going to be, they're going to be delayed by the cold, but they're still going. And the salt will help inhibit them, maybe kill off a couple, and prevent spoilage as much as possible. I'm a professional baker, so I'm allowed to eyeball. But you guys should probably use a measuring spoon. This is about 1.5 pounds of butter. So I'm going to about add almost a teaspoon of salt. And just knead it in like you would bread. And I use the fine sea salt crystals. Kind of dissolve easier. You could use kosher salt, but you might get chunks, which is delicious. Okay, so I've got some nice salty butter. Now, if you had a butter bell or a crockery thing that you keep your butter in, it's ready to go. Just pack it in there. Let the water kind of drain out a little bit. But I'm going to shape mine into sticks to make it easier to use later. butterfatting board here. I'm going to wrap it in saran, or not saran. I'd like to wrap it in wax paper first, and then tin foil. And I do the double wrapping because I like to freeze it. I'm going to get a working piece. So this is my wrapping piece, this is my working piece. Try and eyeball a stick's worth. And when I'm working it, I really want to try and get this water out as well as make it shaped. Because it'll be fine in the freezer with that water, but it won't be as good with my product. Make a little Christmas present. So there you have it. One stick of fresh, raw, cultured Jersey. 2 out of 3 of the cows are Jerseys. Butter. This will keep it room temperature for, I wouldn't go more than a week at room temperature. It'll keep in the refrigerator for probably a month, and it'll freeze almost indefinitely, 6 months minimum. But I eat this stuff so fast. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Sharon, for that lovely butter churn. I really appreciate it. And enjoy your butter making.
So itchy. Oh yeah. Yeah, that feels good.